This is Krishna's personal avatar. Dhirodatta. Dhirodatta is a person who is naturally very grave and gentle, forgiving, merciful, determined, humble, highly qualified, chivalrous, and physically attractive. In this connection, the following statement given by Indra, the king of heaven, is very significant. My dear Lord, I admit that I have committed great offenses unto you, but I cannot express my feelings of regret. Being bewildered at seeing your extraordinary chivalrous spirit, your endeavor to protect your devotees, your determination, your steadiness in lifting the great hill of Govardhan, your beautiful bodily features, and your astonishing characteristics of being pleased simply by accepting the prayers of your devotees and offenders. I'll just read that last bit again. Your beautiful bodily features and your astonishing characteristic of being pleased simply by accepting the prayers of your devotees and offenders. The above statement by the King of Heaven is an exact corroboration of Krishna's being Dhirodatta. Many learned scholars have agreed to also accept Lord Ramachandra as Dhirodatta, but all of Lord Ramachandra's qualities are also included in the character of Lord Krishna. So that's nice, because sometimes the reason why people are atheists is because the idea they've been given of God is that he's kind of a cruel person. And being all-knowing, why would you create so many living entities that will suffer in hell for eternity? Whereas it's much more attractive to see that you can even be an offender, and simply by accepting, still Krishna will accept the prayers. So that's very reassuring. With Christianity, well, don't knock anybody, but when I was going through the school myself, I liked the idea of there being a God before I went to school, when I was just a young kid in Skelmersdale, like 3 or 4 years old. I used to always kneel down and pray before I went to bed at night. But nobody told me to do that. But I just had decided that there was something. I was thinking when I was a kid, at one time, this house wasn't here, it was just a mud field. And then at some time, there mustn't have been a mud field here. It was just the earth with no vegetation. And at one time, there was probably no earth here as well. So that means there was no stars, there was nothing. It was all just darkness. There was nothing here. And then all this just came out of nothing. God must have thought it into existence. It's the only possible conclusion. But then during the course of the educational system, any last shred of faith I had in God was stripped away. And I came out the other end a total punk, a punk rocker. I went from a punk to a monk. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate, thank you, Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15. Still instructions for civilized human beings. And it's text 40, isn't it? Atmanam Ched Vijayiniyat. Atmanam Ched Vijayiniyat. Param Jnana Dutashayo. Param Jnana Dutashaya. Kim Ichan Kasha Va Heto. Kim Ichan Kasha Va Heto. Deham Pushnati Lampata. Deham Pushnati Lampata. Atmanam Chadvijanayat. Param Jnana Dutashaya Kimichan Kashava Heto Deham Pushnati Lampata Atmanam Chadvijnanayat Param Jnana Dutashaya Kimichan Kashava Heto Deham Pushnati Lampata Atmanam Chadvijaniyat Param Jnana Tutashaya Hemichan Kashava Heto Deham Pushnati Lampata Atmanam Chadvijaniyat Param Jnana Tutashaya Kimichan Kashava Heto Deham Pushnati Lampata Atmanam Chadvijaniyat Tutashaya Kimichan Kashava Heto Deham Pushnati Lampata Atmanam. The soul and the super soul. Chat, if Vijanayat can understand, Param, who are transcendental beyond this material world. Jnana, by knowledge. Duta Ashaya, one who has cleansed his consciousness. Kim, what? Ichan, desiring material comforts. Kalja, for whom? Va, or Heto, for what reason? Deham, the material body. Pushnati, he maintains. Lampata, being unlawfully addicted to sense gratification. Translation. The human form of body is meant for understanding the self and the supreme self, the supreme personality of Godhead, both of whom are transcendently situated. If both of them can be understood when one is purified by advanced knowledge, for what reason and for whom does a foolish, greedy person maintain the body for sense gratification? Responsibly. The human form of body is meant for understanding the self and the supreme self, the supreme personality of Godhead, both of whom are transcendentally situated. If both of them can be understood, when one is purified by advanced knowledge, for what reason and for whom does a foolish, greedy person maintain the body for sense gratification? So, Prabhupada may mention it in the purport, but before I forget, it's interesting to note that the point is being made that you become purified by advanced knowledge. So that's interesting because we are hearing advanced knowledge right now. They've just shared a section on Japa book on the WhatsApp group, and one of the Machis has put on this insert from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's Lord Chaitanya observing the festival of Lord Jagannath. So you may have that, you may read that, you may even remember that, but whether you actually have reached the point of being purified by it is the real determining factor as to whether you actually do have advanced knowledge or whether you just think you have advanced knowledge. Because to understand what's going on there, it's all very, we think it's just going to be enough to believe in God. Some religions are saying, well, just believe in God, and we think that's enough. And then when we look into it, it's quite intricate, who God is, and then how God is being a devotee, and then he's relishing himself in the mood of Mahabhav, and his limbs have gone into his body and his eyes gone wide, and that's like an amazing pastime in itself. I don't understand that. And then on top of that, there's God as a devotee, relishing himself. So we know the pastime. We maybe read it. I've read it many times. But purified by advanced knowledge is when the knowledge starts to become real. That's really what realization means. It means it becomes real. It's not just repeating slokas or following things, Vaidhi Bhakti, where everything's becoming very real now. That's where realization comes in. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Of course, everyone in this material world is interested in maintaining the body for sense gratification. But by cultivating knowledge, one should gradually understand that the body is not the self. Both the soul and the supersoul are transcendental to the material body. This is to be understood in the human form of life, especially when one takes sannyas. A sannyasi, one who has understood the self, should be engaged in elevating the self and associating with the super self. Our Krishna consciousness movement is meant for elevating the living being for promotion back home, back to Godhead. Seeing such elevation is one's duty in the human form of life. Seeking such elevation is one's duty in the human form of life. Unless one performs this duty, why should one maintain the body? Especially if a sannyasi not only maintains the body by ordinary means, but does everything to maintain the body, including even eating meat and other abominable things. He must be a lampata, a greedy person, simply engaged in sense gratification. A sannyasi must specifically remove himself from the edges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, which disturb one, as long as one is not fully aware that the body is separate from the soul. Anyone know that verse? I know but Krishna is my Lord, and even though he's a lampata, he's still my Lord. He's free to do anything and everything. Om Agyanatamaranda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chaksharan Malitam Jaina Tatspashi Guruve Namaha Shi Chaitanya Manobistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swami Rupa Kadama Vidata Yantishantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasali Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha varidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. The human form of body is meant for understanding the self and the supreme self, the supreme personality of Godhead, both of whom are transcendently situated. For what reason and for whom does a foolish greedy person maintain the body for sense gratification? So you can maintain the body for sense gratification, or as an instrument for understanding yourself and the Supreme Godhead. Prabhupada says everyone in this material world is interested in maintaining the body, but by cultivating knowledge, one should gradually understand that the body is not the self. So the first stage is anamoya, isn't it? It means it goes in the mouth. Ana is like grains. Anamoya is like the very, very first thing that a little baby works out to do is to stick things in the mouth, hopefully edible things, but just about anything goes in. Tries to eat anything. That's the first stage, anamoya. Then what's the stage after that? Pranamoya. Then you start looking out for yourself and trying to protect yourself. Prana is like the life force, pranamoya. And then there's jnanamoya, where you start developing some knowledge, which it's not necessary that you will do that, but you could do that potentially. And then there's anandamoya. Then you realize the bliss. So you can stop up at any level if you want. What do you think, Jayananda? Oh, that's good. So that's it. You can stop at, it's like going up in a lift. You might go up in a lift and you get to the first level. You open the door and it says, "This is the floor we all stick things in our mouth." Oh, I'm good with that. So you just get out and stay there, you know. And some people say, "Oh, I think I want to go a bit higher than that." And they go up to the next one and everyone's learning Kung Fu. Oh, this is the stage where we defend ourselves. Well, that sounds good to me. I'll go for that. Then they go a bit further and they're all reading books. Oh, this is the stage where we develop knowledge. Okay, I'll go for that. If you hang on, go to the top one, they're all having kirtan and eating burfi, maha, mangalite sweets. Oh, this is the stage where we have bliss. Well, I think I prefer that actually. But you could be up there on the Anandamoya floor for a while, and then you think, but you know what? I think I'll go back down to Anamoya. I'm just going to go. At least they don't have to worry about anything. You just put things in your mouth. To heck with what happens in the future. So it's not necessarily that you stay on that floor, or you may go on the Anamoya floor and you get fed up and you want to go higher. You know, that's what happens. 99% of the people that take up Krishna consciousness come because they're in distress. So you can go up and down. But the amazing thing about Lord Jagannath is whatever floor you're on, and whether you plan to go up or whether you plan to go down, if you pull the rope and you see Lord Jagannath and you engage in the festival, and Lord Jagannath, he's like noting all the people there, you know, and then they're all going back. They all get a ticket home. That's why Rath Yatra is such a big deal, you know, such a special. It's amazing how Prabhupada, I can't believe how people can get a book by Srila Prabhupada, read it, start practicing, what do you think, Jayananda? And then practicing spiritual life, and then just deciding to go off on another path. Just can't fathom that at all. I mean, Prabhupada brought everything, and he gave us the Rath Yatra. So many, I mean, there's so many really, it's like nuclear bombs going off right now of spiritual sound vibration and significance all around the planet. Have you seen the videos of Rath Yatra and Jagannath Puri? His millions. It's like 10 football stadiums all crammed on the street. Unbelievable. And that vibration is going up, going around the earth. It's such a massive purifying effect. So they're all on their way home. We're also on our way home. And we just have to become very conversant with the philosophy, because it's the philosophy which will help us to gradually understand that the human form of life, the body, is not meant for being greedy for sense gratification. It's a very fine instrument, and it should be used in the proper way. What do you think, China? It makes sense, doesn't it? Really think about it. Keep it in the mode of goodness. Keep it attentive, alert. There's a few things coming up now in the Japa Sangha about we can. When we're chanting, it should be done in a very earnest way. If you look up the word earnest, because there's considered the essential verse of the Bhagavatam, one who earnestly waits for the Lord's mercy while undergoing all the reactions towards karma, it becomes his rightful claim to go back to Godhead. And I thought that's an interesting word, one who is earnestly looking for, earnestly waiting. So the word earnest is serious in mind or intention, characterized by sincerity of intention, demanding or receiving serious attention, serious, close, constant, determined, firm, fixed, grave, intent, resolute, resolved, sincere, solemn, stable, staid, steady, thoughtful, heartfelt, ablaze, ardent, devoted, eager, enthusiastic, fervent, impassioned, keen as mustard, passionate, purposeful, urgent, vehement, warm, and zealous. And then you know what the opposite is? The antonyms: flippant, frivolous, insincere, trifling, apathetic, couldn't care less, half-hearted, unconcerned, unenthusiastic, uninterested. So they're the enemies. That's what we want to avoid. And we're cultivating knowledge to give these guys a wide berth, so that when we feel ourselves slipping into that attitude and those behaviors and modes of conduct, we're like, okay, that's not going to be helpful. I need to get out of this. I need to shift gear and get into being intent, serious, determined. Keen as mustard. Keen as mustard. Yeah, it's a nice. So we understand. We have to understand. That's the thing. That's the challenge. We've got all the knowledge. Everything's there. The modern program's there. Now you've got to try and understand, why am I singing this? What does this mean? Madhurya, Shiradika Madhava Yorapara. What does it mean? What's the significance? I'm glorifying the spiritual master. What do the Guruvastika prayers mean? What attitude should I have toward the spiritual master? Nikunji and Arati Kelly Sujai. And then Tulsi Devi. What's the significance here? What's going on? You know? Then I'm chanting the mantra. What does the mantra mean to me? If I was to translate the mantra, what does the mantra mean? Like, you could take 15 people in the room, they're all chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and then you find out what it means. So one of them, it means, I'm just trying to get this over with. I can't wait for Prashadam. Another one's chanting it. I shouldn't even be here. All these devotees are terrible. That's the meaning of this mantra. Another one is, God, I can't wait to get married to a beautiful wife. And he's chanting, you know. So what's coming out the mouth is one thing, but what's coming out the heart is another thing. So what should be coming out the heart when you're chanting the mantra is that you're really grateful that you've been given this opportunity, and you realize you're not going to make it unless you get mercy, and you're begging for the mercy. The holy name has brought you to the realization that you shouldn't really be here. You're not really qualified to be here. You're not really worthy of being here, but somehow you are. So now you're begging, please. You've brought me here. Now please give me the mercy. Although I am not worthy, although I am not qualified, please shower your mercy upon me. Any questions? I'll come. Janand, you got a question? Yes.
I was looking at the thesaurus thing for earnest.
Thesaurus. Oh, yeah.
So there's an interesting one. It says sober as well.
Oh.
No, it seems like to be earnest also means we have to be very sober. Then there was also it said what was that? No, I just gonna look at it. I've already forgotten it. Surely it doesn't mean good memory. Lacking humor and not meant to be funny. So it seems like, you know, earnestness also means to like kind of be very grave. You know? Not like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, if someone approaches you earnestly, he's got a much better chance, hasn't he? Whatever he wants, if he's approaching you earnestly, he's got a much better chance of getting it. If you want a pay rise and you go to the boss and you ask him in a can't be bothered way, and you ask him earnestly, MOS just had triplets, and we're just not going to make it with what we've got right now. And the boss will at least take it seriously, you know. And Krishna's the boss. So if we want Krishna to take us seriously, then we have to be earnest. It's interesting, isn't it? Because earn is also similar. You have to earn it. You have to earn it by being earnest. I wonder if the word earn is also similar, also derives from the same root, to earn something. Because you're not expecting to get something undeservedly. Sometimes we're thinking, well, I just need the mercy, so therefore I don't have to bother. I can just, like Prabhupada said, Krishna didn't say to Arjuna, you just sit in the chariot and smoke ganja, and I'll take care of everybody. I'll take care of everybody. Krishna's not a day, he's got it anyway. You have to earn it. Unless you're prepared to really, even Arjuna, you know, there he is. And he's been on the sun planet with Krishna. He's with Krishna all the time. And he's going to have to work so hard. And he's going to have to go through so much. He's going to see Abhimanyu get killed. His 5 kids will get killed from Draupadi. So many intense. Jayadratha, he almost is going to commit suicide because it was Jayadratha that caused Abhimanyu's death. So very, very nail-biting. And Arjuna, he was called Gudukesh, which means conqueror of the sleep. And Dronacharya was his guru. Dronacharya said, never let Arjuna eat in the dark. Never let him do that. So they didn't know why he said it, but they just made sure that whenever Arjuna was eating, there was always plenty of light around. One night, Arjuna was eating by just a candlelight because he'd been practicing all day. He practiced more than anybody else. And as he was eating, the candle went out. And as he was eating, immediately he got the thought, if I can eat in the dark, I can practice in the dark. So then he got the name Gudukesh. When everybody else was sleeping, you could hear Arjuna practicing the bow. And it said that when Arjuna was out on the battlefield, he had this quiver which was given him by the sun god or Agni. And it couldn't be emptied. And he would take the arrow that fast and fire it, that you couldn't see that the arm. You could see him holding the bow, and you could see the quiver, but you couldn't see anything else. You could just see the arrows just coming out, And he was releasing the arrows that fast that they were touching each other. So one arrow was going, and then there was another one right behind it, just so smooth. And one of his fortes anyway for Arjuna was he was able to send a sheet of arrow-headed crescent shaped heads of arrows. He would send them out as a sheet, and you would see a whole Akshahini division of soldiers riding in with no heads. He'd just taken the heads off. They'd be riding in. Arjuna just no heads. So that's how intense Arjuna was prepared to practice, And he could have said, well, my friend's God, so he takes care of everything. I just got my Facebook page and just so we have to earn it, and earning something means we have to be earnest. We don't expect anything for nothing. And if we have that earnest mood, then going back to Godhead becomes our rightful claim. It's guaranteed. Everything's guaranteed. The only thing that's not guaranteed is whether we're going to do it or not. That's the only thing that's not guaranteed. Any questions or comments? Ishan, Prabhu.
It's me again. Very true. So I'm thinking. I'll turn it on. So we have someone that's using their body for sense gratification, and then someone that's using their body to serve Krishna. And sometimes this can actually externally look like the same thing. Yeah. So I'm wondering, how can we tell the difference, or can we even tell the difference? Or is it just a personal thing for whoever's doing that?
The difference between two different people, one's doing it for sense gratification, one's doing it for Krishna.
But for us, it looks practically the same.
But externally, it looks like the same. So the way you would measure that is over the dimension of time. The Rastais from Bhava Janate Vapasasta Dosha. In the text 6 of Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he says, although the devotee's body may be infirm and the complexion, in so many ways he has deformities in his body, but the devotee is able to maintain steady devotional service over a prolonged period of time. So that's the hallmark. That's how you know. So that's why it's hard to know in the beginning. Devotee may be very enthusiastic. Like I just listened to Ayendra Prabhu talking yesterday, and he was saying he's banging the madanga as loud as he can, or he's playing the kartals as loud. The kartals have got different volumes. They don't have to just go clang, clang, clang all the time. You can do them really, really softly, and you can do them really, really loudly, and then it creates a tempo in the kirtan where it builds up. Otherwise, there's no difference. If you're right at the beginning of the kirtan, you're whacking the kartals as hard as you can. Then when the kirtan does build up, there's no real change. So it should be that there's a build-up. So anyway, he was saying, he says, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're enthusiastic. And then he thinks and he goes, but enthusiastic for what? Enthusiastic to be the center of attention, to have everybody think they're really fired up? Or are you enthusiastic to serve Krishna? So you won't know initially. There's one devotee, I won't say his name, but he was a brahmachari, and he dyed his dhoti that saffron. Shishikone time apashashiki jai. That you had to put sunglasses on to look at the dhoti. It was glaring effulgence, and he knew 5 million slokas. And every time Gurudev was coming down the stairs at the manor, he used to stay in the rooms at the top of the stairs. And when he was coming down for Mangalati or deity greeting, then he'd start the kirtan. He was so fired up. He was really fired up. Anyway, he had a problem. He was selling paintings. And we used to do that at night, late at night. And so he had a problem. Then he was too embarrassed to come back. And then I saw him years later. And I said, oh, I haven't seen you for ages. How are you? He goes, do you know, he said, I got completely in Maya, but I was watching a program last night about old people. He said, and I just suddenly remembered I'm going to die. So I came back to the temple to do some service, you know. And funnily enough, he did die the week later. He was on the roof and the wind blew him off and it killed him. Some devotees say that Krishna just brought him back in to give him some mercy and then took him out so that he wouldn't get into any more nonsense, you know. Anyway, but so it's hard to say what it is, and it may be that you are being enthusiastic and you're really getting into stuff for the wrong reason, but you're determined to stay and make it the right reason over a long period of time, because you won't even know in the beginning. You'll just be trying to be enthusiastic, and then you start realizing later on, okay, this is not such a good intention, and then you can change it and refine it and fine-tune it, you know. The path is crooked and it's slippery because it's full of kumkum and sandalwood paste. I think it's Sanatan Goswami who says it's like that. One of the great acharyas. So it's not just a straight. It is, sometimes you realize, oops, you have to go like that and go like that. And sometimes what's also interesting is when you're on an ocean, if you look at the captain that steers it, and he's spinning the wheel around, and he spins it really that way, and then he spins it that way. But overall, it's going that direction. So sometimes Shastra seems very easy, and sometimes it seems impossibly strict, just to keep us on course, you know. We want the middle ground, not overly fanatically strict, and not overly fanatically whimsical and loose, but the middle ground, what's sustainable, what we can keep doing, you know. And it may feel like you're going up and down and up and down and up and down and you're getting nowhere. But if you look at the person's progress from the side, you'll see that the terrain he's going over is like this. So he is going somewhere. But it just looks from the front like he's going up and down. But from the side you can see he's getting there. He's just having to go over a lot of undulations due to his karma. You know that verse, Jananda? Going over undulations due to karma? Well, Tatena Kampam is like that, because you're just accepting whatever the reactions are as a token of what you're due, you know. But you're still determined, you're still earnestly waiting for the Lord's mercy. You're convinced. Like sometimes when you're chanting japa, the japa is not so good. And you can get disturbed about that. Or you can just think, okay, that means I'm going to have to chant extra rounds today because these ones are not quite on just now. And guaranteed, if you just keep chanting throughout the day on your clicker, as you go around doing things, you break through and suddenly the name's there again on your tongue and you can think of Krishna. It's just a question of increasing your japa sometimes to improve it. If you're not satisfied with your japa, then just increase it. And we've just finished the book on, we're doing a Japa Sangha on Thursdays between 7 and 8. We've just finished Harinam Chintamani. And we're just kind of working out which book we're going to do next. There's one book, Satyanandan Swami did a book called Nama Rahasya. And it's based upon the 6th chapter of Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And so I was reading it yesterday. I read the Nama Rahasya and I was thinking maybe we can do that book then. But because in the book he's referring to that, I thought, well, what is this Chaitanya Shikshamrita? You know? And I went to the, anyone that wants to download that, it's on the WhatsApp group. I'll put it on so you can just download it if you want. So it's interesting what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. He says there's 2 types of chanters. There's the preliminary chanter and there's the continuous chanter. So the preliminary one, he starts with 1 grant, which is 4 rounds. And then you multiply that by 4, 16. Then you multiply that by 4. And that's supposed to be what you do, 64. Then you multiply that by 3, which is 192. But so Prabhupada just said, okay, look, just do 16. But that's the preliminary thing. You don't really want to do it. You haven't really got a taste for it, but you commit Vaidhi, Bhakti. Okay, I'll do this, even if it's tough. I'm going to do it anyway, with the faith that one day it's going to be. So that point where you break through is when the chanting becomes continuous, where it's just all the time. Even when you're sleeping, you're chanting. So they're the 2 different types of chanters. So it would make sense that you chant as much as you can off the beats, as well as the 16 on the beats, to quicken the progress toward the continuous stage. And what I've noticed is if you're taking a clicker around with you all the time, sometimes you forget the clicker. You just automatically start chanting anyway, because you're so used to doing it. And then you realize you don't really need a clicker. You just need to be trained, you know, to get to the point where you're chanting continuously. That's why the stories in the Shastras, there was one Ganga Mata, and this devotee got really offended because he was given Bhagavatam class and she was chanting. He says, he was really offensive to her, you know, and she says, I'm really sorry, I can't stop the holy name. It's just on my tongue all the time, you know. She's trying to hold her tongue to stop herself chanting. What do you think, China? Is that the same as falling asleep? What would be the difference between not listening and falling asleep? In one sense, falling asleep's better, but if you're not listening, it means you're sitting there with your eyes closed, purposely ignoring what's being said. It's just better to just fall asleep. So they're the 2 types of chanting. And before you can hear the holy name properly, you have to hear about the holy name. If you keep falling asleep when you're hearing about the holy name, you're never going to hear the holy name properly. And if you think you're chanting, you may think you're chanting your 14, 16 rounds, but if you're sleeping a lot during it, then it means you can't be chanting the full mantra. Because there's no way you could get that amount of rounds done and sleep that amount of time unless you're missing half the mantra. No way. To chant a 6-minute round, you've really got to go for it. You haven't got time to snooze. And if you're snoozing, it means that the speed at which you're chanting is very slow. You can't snooze. Have you ever seen a devotee fall asleep that's chanting quickly? You never see it. And sometimes you can get tricked into thinking, well, I just need to hear every syllable. And then you just become lethargic and then you fall asleep, which is an offense. It's the most offensive thing you can do to chanting is to fall asleep. Because it's inattentive. It's the root of all of the offenses. Wherever the offense is going to come in, it will come in through the door of inattention. That tree of offenses that grows, it's cut down by attentive chanting, and it grows from inattentive chanting. And the worst type of inattentive chanting is sleeping. It's called laya. It's the first obstacle you have to overcome. L-Y-A. L-A-Y-A. Laya. Sleep is the first one.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just want some clarification on that. If we're very, very tired due to, having done lots of service and been cutting back on sleep quite significantly over a period of weeks or days, to the point where if we sit down somewhere for longer than 30 seconds, we're going to pass out, and we're trying to chant and we find ourselves have just passed out, even though we're trying to be fast and attentive. Is that still the same, or is that just we should not bother chanting and sleep and then do it later?
It's interesting, actually. Thank you for the question. So when we were doing oil paintings, we would go around the doors, and then we would get back midnight, and then we would get up for Mangalati and chant our rounds. And I remember one time we most of the time we'd have to walk. There was no way you could stay awake. And then we'd take rest later, and then we'd start midday, 2 o'clock the next day, because it was the evening time that you could sell the paintings. So we had to kind of adjust to that. And when I first came up to Scotland, when Balabhadra was in charge here, we would stay up and massage his feet and then take rest and then get up for Mangalati. So we usually take rest around midnight. So we were trying to get by on 4 hours. And then during the day, if you had to, we'd take an hour or two as extra rest, So at that time, I was keeping a diary. And anyway, it's interesting to know that we were told that after about 3 hours, your body is fully refreshed. Like say in the middle of the night, you need to use the loo, or you start coughing and you wake up and you have to get up and you feel wide awake. You don't feel tired at all, because after 3 hours, your body's refreshed. Then later on in the day, you will feel tired, but not initially when you first get up, you see. But the trick of the mind is, and I've been finding this because I've been off for a few days now, and I'm sleeping well over 6 hours. And when I wake up, I feel like I've been hit by a bus. And all I want to do is sleep more. So it makes me realize, and I got up this morning after 6 hours, and I feel fresh. I'll feel tired later on, but I'm fresh. I'm fine, So the body's rested after 5-6 hours, definitely. Then later on, you can feel tired. And if you oversleep, then you get to the point where you go into the mode of ignorance, and it feels like you're tired, and the body feels so heavy, and you feel so exhausted, but it's the mode of ignorance. It's just the mode of ignorance. Because that's what the mode of ignorance does. I remember when, before I became a devotee, I had friends, and they were trying to just get the day over so they could get intoxicated in the evening. So they would try and get up as late as possible, so that as soon as they got up, they could just get intoxicated again. So we got up like 2-3 o'clock, and then they were like, "Oh, that's good. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do today then, because it's over." And they would sleep for a long, long time, But all it did was it put them more and more in the mode of ignorance. Now, in the mode of ignorance, problem with mode of ignorance is there's a tendency to be offensive. One of the qualities of the mode of ignorance is you're expert at insulting others. That's what you cultivate. If you cultivate the mode of ignorance, you cultivate criticism and offensiveness. And then that really impacts on your japa. That really makes the japa a lot more difficult to chant. You're chanting in the mode of ignorance with all the offenses and bad attitudes you've developed from being in a mode of ignorance. So you're making it, it's Kali Yuga, it's tough anyway. That's why we're given second initiation, so that we can come into the mode of goodness. We chant the Gayatri mantra so that we can chant the Hare Krishna mantra better. We do Pujari work, Pancharatriki. You have to be there on time. You have to be clean. You have to know the prayers. You have to do everything. The way, if you ever do any service, you cannot afford to waste even a few seconds. If someone's not put something back in the right place, you've got to go and look for it. Everything gets knocked out. It's just so finely tuned. The whole Pancharatriki is like that. And it really forces you to be focused and very, very attentive to all the detail. That then helps you to chant Hare Krishna better and to do all the other services better. So the two rails are there. That's why Prabhupada, he didn't just go around giving everybody the holy name and having Rathayatra festivals and book distribution. He established so many deities, Radha Krishna as well as Gauranitai. And Radha Krishna is very strict. You get 85% of the reaction. Lord Chaitanya, you make a mistake, there's 100% merciful. If you make a mistake with Radha Krishna, you get 85% reaction. If you make a mistake with Shalagram, you get 100% reaction. I know devotees that have dropped Shalagram and they've been sick for like weeks, and they knew exactly why it was, So Shalagram worship is the most intense. Radha Krishna is intense. If you're just worshipping Jagannath, he's 100% merciful, the same as Lord Chaitanya. But if Balaram is there, then there's a certain percentage, because Balaram doesn't like you seeing you're serving Lord Jagannath wrong, so he hits you with the club. Bong, that was wrong. You were late. Bong. You're dirty. Bong. You just touched your mouth. Bong. Shouldn't be thinking that. Bong. So the two of them become established in Satvik. And Satvik, then you'll find that you're sleeping, you're eating, everything becomes more regulated. But your sleep is it's something which plagues us all, because we've got material bodies, you know. And as the body gets older, then it just becomes more tired. And we just have to find ways to, self-realization means we have to work it out for ourselves. Maybe I have to stop eating at night. Maybe I should just eat 2 meals and intermittent fasting, you know, in between. Maybe the body I've got, the apparatus I've got, maybe it'll be better if I'm like this, you know, if I do it like that. You have to work that out for yourself. Everyone's got a different body, and you've got your different, like I just watched this thing the other day. The guy had lost his legs. He was a mountain climber, and he'd lost his legs because of frostbite. So they gave him these new legs with, from there, actually it was. So from there down was all like false leg. He's back up the mountain a few weeks later, climbing back up. He says, I'm climbing better now with these legs than I was before. But he said this really far out thing, which I think is really interesting. He said, the human body is always complete. And as a human being, we have that right to live a complete existence. So even if something goes away, you can still compensate for it, you know. So we all have to work out what it is, whether we've got a leg missing or we've bent off part of the brain from drug abuse or whatever it is, whatever's missing, you know, that's not there. We've got to learn how to compensate for that and still perform fully, you know. Because he could have used that as a great excuse, right? I mean, can you imagine a guy with no legs saying, "Oh, I've had to stop climbing." Now everyone would say, "Well, of course you've got to stop climbing, you know. It's ridiculous to think you can climb." He's got every reason, every excuse not to. But he didn't see that as justifiable, you know. So don't hold on to excuses for compromising your performance, you know. Just find a way around it, find how to compensate for it, so that you can always give everything you've got. That's all Krishna wants. He doesn't want anything else but your consciousness. That's all he wants. You've not got anything else that is of interest to Krishna other than your consciousness. That's all he wants. And he gave it you, so you should give it back to him, you know, in loving service. And we can all do that. We can all give 100% of our consciousness. We just have to find out how to do that, how to train and get to that point.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's all very interesting, as usual. Could you assist us in understanding how we can understand when we're in different modes, different material modes of nature, how we can transcend them, what we can do, like how we can better recognize these things, and what we can do is like a stopgap measure to bring ourselves out of it so we don't associate with it.
You're in the mode of, so you're chanting your japa and you're falling asleep. You're not sure that you are falling asleep. You're thinking maybe that you're just meditating, but suddenly half an hour's gone past and you're still on this first round. And when you look down at your keta, it's all damp. So you realize you've been doing a bit of a dribble japa. So you're realizing, okay, so the alarm goes off. Alert, 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 mode of ignorance, japa, bad. So then you have to get into the mode of passion. You can't think, oh, mode of ignorance, I think I'm going to the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna, Hare. You're going to have to go into the mode of passion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. You keep the mode of passion up, then you get into the mode of goodness. Then suddenly, maybe by the 10th, 12th round, suddenly Krishna sounds different. Krishna suddenly sounds very, very interesting. Krishna. It's cutting through the ether like a knife. Krishna. You can feel it cutting away all the attachments. Krishna, Krishna. Wow. Krishna. But you've had to go for it with like steam coming out your ears and your bead bag on fire. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then suddenly, Hare Krishna. And then it goes into the mode of goodness. So you have to work hard, sustain it over a period of time, and then it'll break through into the mode of goodness. But you can't do the lazy thing. Well, I think I'll just skip the mode of passion. That looks like a lot of energy and uncomfortable. I think I'll just go from mode of ignorance into the mode of goodness. Save myself messing about in the mode of passion. So ideally, we understand that the mode of passion isn't what we want. We want to get into the mode of goodness, but we're prepared to work hard for it and make the endeavor, And it can look like it's the mode of passion, like when Arjuna was fighting, it can look like the mode of passion, because Arjuna was trying to just be peaceful and forgiving, and he was provoked. Krishna provoked him to do his duty, fight for the sake of fighting, without considering loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. Which basically means just, really go for it. I'll end with this actually. Well, I was traveling for 15 years with some amazing personalities in the motorhome. And this one personality would keep saying to me, Prabhu, you got to go for it. Just go for it. Go for it. And as the years went by, I started wondering, what are we going for? Are we going for the money, the prestige, the position, the recognition? And I realized for me that what we're really going for is the holy name. That's what we have to go for, because that's the thing we'll need to do at the time of death. We'll have to go for the holy name. So all our endeavors, whatever it is we're doing, it all culminates in our attachment to the holy name. That's really what we'll go out today and we'll do some book distribution, we'll be doing Rath Yatra, we'll be in the kitchen chopping vegetables, whatever it is that we're doing, it's to help us to chant Hare Krishna. That's the Yuga Dharma. Even the books, the Yuga Dharma is not book distribution. The Yuga Dharma is chanting the holy name. It's just that the books are telling you to chant the holy name. If you give somebody a book and they say, what's this about? And you say, chanting the holy name. And they say, are you doing it? And you say, yeah, but I'm pretty rubbish at it. I fall asleep all over the place. And, I can't even get the full mantra out. I can't even say it properly. Then they'll be thinking, well, why don't you read the books properly then and do it properly? Isn't it? But if they say, well, what's it? You say, chant the holy name, it's amazing. I can't stop it. It's just fun. Once you get a taste for it, you can't stop. It's just, and it solves all the problems. Everything's fantastic after you've chanted. It's the essential thing. It's really, as you really got to do it, try it, Then I'll be like, okay. Sounds like a good idea, because they'll take the book off you if they think that the book's going to make them like you, and you appear very attractive, you appear very happy and very energized. They're thinking, I want to be like that guy. He just approaches people. He's not afraid at all. He's so confident. That guy's cool, and this is how he does it. Okay, I want to read that book. But if you're looking like spaced out and you can't really be bothered, and you've got turmeric stains all down the front of your curtain, yeah, do you want one of these that they're all about being enthusiastic. Either he's not read it or it doesn't work, Yes, Guru in the key, Srila Prabhupada key, Gaura Premanandi Haribol. All of you.